The invitation to the camping trip came unexpectedly from an old friend, Matt, whom I hadn't seen in years. The prospect of reconnecting with nature and reliving the carefree days of our youth excited me. Little did I know that this camping trip would plunge me into a nightmarish ordeal that would test the boundaries of my sanity. We chose a secluded spot deep in the heart of the redwood forest. Towering trees loomed overhead, their ancient branches forming a natural canopy that blocked out the moonlight. The air was thick with the scent of pine, and the distant chirping of crickets provided a serene backdrop to our laughter as we set up camp. The first day was idyllic, hiking through trails, sharing stories around the campfire, and basking in the beauty of the untouched wilderness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, a feeling of tranquility settled over our campsite. Little did I know that the serenity was merely a prelude to the horrors that awaited us. On the second night, a strange restlessness gripped our group. Matt suggested a night hike, eager to explore the mysterious charm of the forest after dark. Despite a subtle sense of unease, we grabbed our flashlights and set out into the inky blackness of the woods. The trail twisted and turned, the dense foliage casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance in the dim light. Uneasy silence hung in the air, broken only by the crunch of leaves beneath our boots. As we ventured deeper into the forest, the chill of the night wrapped around us like an invisible cloak. A faint glow appeared in the distance, drawing us towards it, like moths to a flame. The source of the light remained elusive, flickering through the trees and playing tricks on our senses. Matt, ever the adventurer, led the way with an excited glint in his eyes. As we approached the mysterious glow, the forest around us seemed to come alive with strange whispers. Incomprehensible voices murmured just beyond the edge of perception, sending a shiver down my spine. I exchanged nervous glances with the others, but no one voiced the mounting unease that knotted our stomachs. The glow led us to a clearing bathed in an otherworldly light. In the center stood an ancient tree, its gnarled branches reaching towards the sky like skeletal fingers. At the base of the tree, an odd arrangement of rocks formed a makeshift altar, adorned with flickering candles that cast an ethereal glow. A strange energy hung in the air, palpable yet intangible. Matt, undeterred by the eerie atmosphere, approached the altar with a mixture of curiosity and excitement. As he examined the rocks and candles, the whispers in the air grew louder, morphing into ghostly moans that seemed to echo through the forest. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and an icy breeze rustled through the leaves. The flickering candles went out one by one, plunging the clearing into darkness. Panic set in as we fumbled for our flashlights, their feeble beams revealing a sight that etched itself into the recesses of my mind. The ancient tree seemed to come to life, its branches writhing and contorting in unnatural ways. A guttural growl reverberated through the clearing, and the ground beneath us trembled as if awakening from a long slumber. The very air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly power. A figure materialized in the shadows, its silhouette barely discernible against the inky blackness. It stood at the edge of the clearing, staring at us with eyes that glowed an unnatural shade of crimson. Time seemed to freeze as a voice, both haunting and beautiful, echoed in our minds. "Beware, trespassers. This sacred place is not for the living." The words resonated within me, sending a chill down my spine. The figure stepped forward, revealing itself to be a spectral entity draped in tattered robes. Its face, gaunt and skeletal, betrayed no emotion as it extended an ethereal hand towards Matt. Fear clutched at my heart as Matt, seemingly entranced, took a step towards the ghostly figure. The whispers in the air intensified, forming a dissonant chorus that seemed to pull at the very fabric of reality. I called out to Matt, my voice drowned by the eerie symphony surrounding us. In an instant, the ghostly figure vanished, leaving behind a suffocating silence. The ancient tree's branches ceased their unnatural dance, and the clearing returned to a semblance of normalcy. But Matt was gone. We searched frantically, calling out his name into the darkness, but there was no trace of him. The forest seemed to swallow him whole, leaving us standing in the clearing, gripped by a profound sense of loss and confusion. The night air turned bitterly cold, and an oppressive weight settled over us as we stumbled back to camp. The once familiar trails now seemed like labyrinthine corridors, twisting and turning in disorienting patterns. The distant sounds of the forest became distorted whispers that echoed our own mounting dread. When we reached our campsite, a thick fog enveloped the area, further obscuring our surroundings. The embers of the dying campfire cast long shadows that danced ominously in the mist. Fearful and disoriented, we huddled together, grappling with the surreal events that had transpired. As the night wore on, the forest seemed to close in around us, its ancient trees casting elongated shadows that played tricks on our minds. Every rustle of leaves and distant hoot of an owl sent shivers down our spines. The air was charged with an unspoken tension, as if the very fabric of reality had been torn. Unable to bear the weight of the unknown, we decided to pack up and leave the forest at first light. Sleep eluded us, and the minutes stretched into agonizing hours as we waited for the dawn. The night seemed interminable, punctuated only by the haunting echoes of our own breaths. As the first light of dawn broke through the thick canopy, we hastily dismantled our camp and retraced our steps through the now familiar trails. The forest, though bathed in the soft hues of morning, retained an otherworldly aura that lingered like a fading nightmare. We reached the edge of the redwood forest, the towering trees now replaced by the familiar sights of civilization. The sense of relief was palpable, yet the memory of that fateful night lingered like a shadow over our minds. We reported Matt's disappearance to the authorities, but the search yielded no results. No trace of him was ever found, and the mysterious clearing with the ancient tree remained elusive, as if swallowed by the very heart of the forest. To this day, the events of that camping trip haunt my dreams. The eerie glow, the ghostly whispers, and the spectral figure with crimson eyes replay in my mind like a macabre film. The redwood forest, once a symbol of natural beauty, now stands as a dark and enigmatic realm, harboring secrets that defy comprehension. I often find myself staring into the night sky, wondering if Matt is out there somewhere, trapped in a dimension between the living and the dead. The forest, with its ancient trees and hidden clearings, holds the answers. The wind whispered through the dense forest, carrying with it an eerie sense of foreboding as my friends and I set up camp deep in the heart of the wilderness. The crackling of the campfire and the distant hoots of owls were the only sounds that disrupted the otherwise profound silence of the night. Little did we know that our peaceful camping trip would soon turn into a nightmare that would haunt our dreams for years to come. We were a group of 5, each of us seeking refuge from the hustle and bustle of city life. Jake, the adventurous one, had suggested this remote spot far away from civilization. The dense canopy overhead blocked out the moonlight, casting an impenetrable darkness over our campsite. As we gathered around the flickering flames, we laughed and shared stories, trying to shake off the eerie feeling that seemed to cling to the air. As the night deepened, the temperature dropped, and the shadows around us grew thicker. Our laughter gradually gave way to uneasy glances, and a sense of unease settled over the camp like a heavy fog. I dismissed it as the natural creepiness that accompanies any remote camping experience, but little did I know that something sinister lurked just beyond our flickering firelight. Around midnight, the forest seemed to come alive with strange noises. Branches creaked overhead, and twigs snapped under an unseen weight. We all exchanged nervous glances, our expressions reflecting the unspoken question, were we truly alone out here? Ignoring the chill that crawled up my spine, I decided to investigate the source of the sounds. Armed with a feeble flashlight, I ventured into the darkness, my friends' worried whispers fading behind me. The dense thicket of trees seemed to close in on me, and the rustling of leaves intensified with every step. I could feel unseen eyes watching me from the shadows. Suddenly, the flashlight flickered, casting elongated shadows that danced eerily on the trees. My heart raced as I fumbled with the unreliable device, trying to keep the encroaching darkness at bay. The forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting for me to succumb to the overwhelming fear that clung to the air. That's when I heard it. A low, guttural growl that sent shivers down my spine. Panic seized me as I turned to retreat, only to find myself face to face with a pair of glowing eyes. They shimmered in the darkness, reflecting the feeble light of my failing flashlight. I stumbled backward, the growl growing louder and more menacing. A hulking silhouette emerged from the shadows, revealing a creature unlike anything I had ever seen. Its fur was matted and dirty, and its eyes gleamed with an unsettling intelligence. The creature's snarl revealed sharp, yellowed teeth, and I could see the glint of claws as it advanced toward me. Fear paralyzed me as I tried to comprehend the surreal nightmare unfolding before my eyes. My mind raced, trying to rationalize the existence of such a creature in the depths of the wilderness. The air grew thick with tension as the creature lunged, and I instinctively raised my arms to shield myself from the impending attack. But instead of tearing into my flesh, the creature stopped abruptly, its growl transforming into a mournful whimper. Confused, I lowered my arms and watched in astonishment as the creature retreated into the darkness, disappearing as mysteriously as it had appeared. I stumbled back to the campsite, my breaths ragged and my heart pounding in my chest. My friends bombarded me with questions, but I struggled to find words to describe the unearthly encounter. We huddled together by the dying embers of the fire, trying to make sense of the inexplicable terror that had befallen us. As the night wore on, we heard more strange sounds, whispers that seemed to echo through the trees and footsteps that were not our own. Shadows danced on the periphery of our vision, and an oppressive weight settled over the camp, suffocating us in an atmosphere thick with malevolence. Sleep eluded us that night as we huddled together, our eyes darting nervously around the encroaching darkness. The first light of dawn brought little comfort, as the forest seemed to sigh in relief, the mysterious presence fading with the receding shadows. We packed up our camp in a tense silence, the memories of the night etched into our minds like a scar. As we hiked back through the forest, we couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, and every rustle of leaves sent a jolt of fear through our weary bodies. Upon returning to civilization, we tried to make sense of the inexplicable events that had unfolded during that fateful night. Research led us to local legends of a mythical creature that haunted the depths of the wilderness, a creature that some believed to be a guardian spirit, while others spoke of it as a malevolent force. To this day, the images of those glowing eyes and the unearthly growls haunt my dreams. I can't help but wonder if we stumbled upon something beyond our understanding that night, a creature that defied explanation and left an indelible mark on our souls. Whether it was a guardian or a malevolent force, one thing is certain. The remote wilderness holds secrets that defy logic and reason. And as I reflect on that freaky camping experience, I can't help but wonder what other mysteries lurk in the shadows of the great unknown, waiting to be discovered by those daring enough to venture into the heart of the wild. The air was thick with the scent of pine as my friends and I set up camp near a secluded lake surrounded by towering trees. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the serene landscape. Our laughter echoed through the stillness of the evening as we gathered around the crackling campfire, sharing stories and toasting marshmallows. As the night wore on, the warmth of the fire couldn't dispel the growing chill that settled over our camp. The woods seemed to come alive with strange noises, and an unspoken tension hung in the air. Despite our attempts to brush off the unease, an unsettling feeling gnawed at the edges of our consciousness. In the distance, a lone wolf's mournful howl pierced the quietude, sending a shiver down my spine. The surrounding darkness seemed to swallow the sound, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. I tried to shake off the eerie sensation, convincing myself it was just the normal spookiness that accompanied a night in the wilderness. Around midnight, the fire burned low, and the encroaching darkness cast long, twisting shadows. It was then that we heard the first strange noise, a rhythmic tapping that seemed to emanate from the depths of the forest. We exchanged curious glances, our previous laughter now replaced by a collective sense of curiosity mixed with trepidation. Unable to resist the lure of the unknown, we armed ourselves with flashlights and ventured into the inky blackness. The tapping grew louder as we followed the sound, our beams of light cutting through the impenetrable darkness like knives. As we delved deeper into the woods, the tapping transformed into a soft, haunting melody that seemed to float through the air. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end as the enchanting notes wrapped around us, weaving an otherworldly spell that sent shivers down my spine. It was a tune I had never heard before, ancient, melancholic, and ethereal. The forest around us seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the mysterious melody. The trees swayed in time, their leaves rustling like a spectral applause. My friends and I exchanged bewildered glances, captivated by the eerie beauty of the haunting music that surrounded us. As we followed the ethereal sound, we stumbled upon a clearing bathed in moonlight. In the center stood a gnarled oak tree, its branches twisted like the gnashing teeth of an ancient guardian. Hanging from the branches were wind chimes, their delicate forms creating a haunting symphony in the night breeze. In the midst of this eerie spectacle, a figure emerged, a spectral woman with flowing hair that glowed like strands of moonlight. She stood beside the tree, her eyes locked onto ours with an intensity that sent a chill down my spine. The melody, now emanating from the wind chimes, seemed to originate from her ethereal presence. For a moment, we were paralyzed, caught in the enchanting gaze of the mysterious woman. It was as if time itself had frozen, and the only reality was the haunting melody that echoed through the clearing. As the last note hung in the air, the woman spoke in a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of the ancient forest. "Welcome, travelers, to the realm between worlds," she intoned, her words a gentle caress against the night air. "You have been chosen to witness the dance of the spirits, a ritual that unfolds only once in a lifetime." The realization of our surreal surroundings began to sink in, and a mix of awe and fear gripped our hearts. The woman gestured toward the oak tree, and as if responding to an unseen cue, the wind chimes swayed and chimed in a mesmerizing dance. The air buzzed with energy, and the once still night now pulsed with an otherworldly vitality. As the wind chimes reached a crescendo, the ground beneath us trembled. Shadows stirred in the periphery of the clearing, taking on ephemeral forms that seemed to dance to the rhythm of the haunting melody. The air became charged with a palpable magic, and I felt a connection to something ancient and powerful that transcended the boundaries of the known world. The spectral figures circled the clearing, their movements graceful and haunting. It was a dance that seemed to bridge the realms of the living and the dead, a communion between the corporeal and the ethereal. As we stood in awe, the woman spoke again, her words carrying a weight of centuries. "You have been granted the rare privilege of witnessing the dance of the spirits, a ritual that binds our world to yours. But heed this warning. The boundary between our realms is delicate, and not all who tread here are as benevolent as the spirits you see before you." The realization struck me like a cold gust of wind. We were guests in a realm beyond our understanding, and the enchanting spectacle before us concealed a deeper, more ominous truth. The woman's eyes bore into mine, and I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. As the dance of the spirits reached its climax, the spectral figures converged in the center of the clearing, merging into a swirling vortex of shadows. The wind chimes chimed in unison, their ethereal melody now a haunting lament that echoed through the ancient woods. In the blink of an eye, the spectral dance dissipated, leaving us standing in the clearing, breathless and disoriented. The woman, her form now translucent, whispered a final warning before fading into the moonlit night. "Remember this night, travelers, for the boundary between our realms is not to be taken lightly. The dance of the spirits has shown you the beauty and the peril that coexist in the shadows. Now return to your world, and may you carry the echoes of this night with you." The clearing fell silent, the wind chimes stilled, and the ancient oak tree seemed to sigh with the weight of unseen memories. We stumbled back through the woods, our minds reeling from the surreal encounter. The once familiar terrain now seemed transformed, and the shadows whispered secrets that eluded our understanding. As we emerged from the forest, the first light of dawn painted the horizon in hues of pink and gold. The lake, serene and untouched, reflected the beauty of the waking world. We gathered our belongings in a daze, the events of the night etched into our memories like a dream that lingered upon waking. The hike back to civilization was accompanied by a heavy silence, each of us lost in our thoughts. The boundary between worlds, the dance of the spirits, and the warning of the ethereal woman echoed in our minds. It was a night that defied explanation, a journey into the unknown that left us forever changed. Years have passed since that fateful camping trip, yet the memories of the haunting melody, the spectral dance, and the enigmatic woman still linger. The realm between worlds remains a mystery, a place where the supernatural and the mundane intertwine in a delicate dance. As I reflect on that freaky camping experience, I can't help but wonder about the thin veil that separates our reality from the realms beyond. The ancient woods hold secrets that defy logic and reason, and the dance of the spirits is a reminder that the unknown is as enchanting as it is perilous. The boundary between worlds is a delicate thread, and those who venture too close may find themselves caught in a dance that transcends time and space.